I've read a lot of books about atheism, and there are so many good ones out there. And it seems like there are more all the time now, whether they're self-published or not. But there's a lot more books about atheism. But these are the ones that I think are not just meaningful to me, but I think anyone reading them, especially people who are not atheists yet, these are the books that would really help them out. Or maybe you're just a new atheist, literally a new atheist. This will help you out. So the first one is Atheism For Dummies. It was written by a friend of mine, Dale McGowan, and that's not the reason it's on the list. It's here because I think it's just, it goes through the history of atheism, historically, philosophically, what atheism is all about. But it also talks about the modern atheist movement and what are atheists interested in now besides just the God question. So I think it's a nice introduction to everything you might need to know about atheism. And it does it without being snarky. It does it without being, obviously the author's an atheist, Dale's an atheist, but he wants you to read this book if you're religious so you can get an understanding of atheism. It's not hostile to religion. So I think this is a great entry book into anyone who wants to know more about atheism, not just the arguments for it, but what people are thinking now. So I really love this book. Even though it's a For Dummies book, I really think this packs a lot of great information in it. So that's that one. This is Breaking the Spell by Daniel Dennett. I absolutely love this book. When people talk about the Four Horsemen or the New Atheists, Daniel Dennett's mentioned in the pack, but this book gets probably less attention than Sam Harris's and Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens. And I don't understand why, because I love this book and I love this writing. Denett's not here to argue against religion per se, even though, again, he's an atheist. But Breaking the Spell is all about why religion is so powerful and how we might be able to overcome that. It's kind of talking about the belief in belief, the power that religion has, not necessarily who's right and who's wrong. And I think it's easy to read as someone who really hates philosophy and doesn't really get interested in those conversations. This is a book about philosophy that I absolutely loved. So this is the book you want to read when it comes to like the new atheist books. And then I'm going to contradict myself right there. Look, a lot of people will say reading Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion. I mean, this is the best-selling atheist book, I think, of all time. And this is a good book. It's a nice way to learn about atheism. This is not actually my favorite Richard Dawkins book, though. And, praise to The God Delusion. It's a nice book. But if you're an atheist, this is not the one you want to read. This is the book you want to read. This is the first Richard Dawkins book I ever read. It's called The Ancestor's Tale. It's not even about atheism, but it's all about evolution and how it works and this natural history of human life. And I read this, I think, when I was in graduate school on my own. And dude, it's a thick book, but every page I'm reading through it, and it's the first time I think I was really exposed to evolution, and I really understood what was happening as I was going through this. And it's not that I was against evolution or I didn't accept it, but this really helped me understand how powerful it was and how amazing it was. And, Dawkins makes, I think, a few kind of side comments about religion here and there, but this is just about how amazing science is. I'm actually kind of mad that Richard Dawkins has started writing books about religion, because I don't really care, because I'm already an atheist. I wish he would write more books like this, because this is just a fantastic book about science. And if you read this book, you realize that all those things people credit God for, you don't need to, because there are natural explanations for everything. So this book may end up turning people into atheists inadvertently. But this is the Richard Dawkins book you want to read, and it doesn't nearly get enough credit. So Ancestor's Tale. I love this one. This is relatively new. This is the Skeptics Annotated Bible, complete with a ribbon for your reading purposes. And this is a book written by Steve Wells. You might have heard of the website, Skeptics Annotated Bible. But basically, this is a giant Bible with pages that look like the Bible you have at home. But the best part is, all this stuff on the sides, those are all like annotations that say, hey, look, here's the misogyny, here's the sexism, here's the violence, here's another rape scene in the Bible. And it's like, oh, and here's a contradiction here and there, and they'll point you to the page number where you might find the contradictory part. When I was in high school, a friend gave me a copy of her Bible thinking I should read it. And I remember going through it and labeling all these contradictions that I would pick up online somewhere. And by the end of it, I had this Bible with all these little, what do you call them, tabs, like sticking out of the book. And I didn't realize this existed. And now it's actually a hardback, like leather-bound book that does all of that work for you. So if you need to read the Bible, if you have to go to church somewhere, this is the one you want to read. This is the book that should be in hotels everywhere. It's just a fantastic resource, and it's fun and interesting to look through. And it's new. Like, I wish this had been around for a long time, but it's phenomenal. So Skeptics Annotated Bible by Steve Wells. I actually don't have a physical copy of the last one, and I'm cheating. It's not really a book. But Julia Sweeney's one-woman show, Letting Go of God, which you can download from iTunes or buy on Amazon. It's a phenomenal play about how she was raised Catholic, believed in Catholicism, liked Catholicism, and still does. But she started letting go of it, and she became an atheist. It's a beautiful show, like it's an emotional show. It's funny, and it does make a good point about why she lost her faith in God and how that was a really beautiful thing. I think the subtitle is like My Beautiful Loss of Faith Story or something like that. But I've listened to it when driving, like I've heard people do monologues from there. And she's just one of those people that you listen to her and all those stereotypes about angry atheist, arrogant atheist, militant atheist, they all fall by the wayside because she is this nice, gentle, kind woman who is talking about all this, and she's so likable. And it's like you listen to that and it's like, oh, she's an atheist and there's nothing really wrong with her. I like her. And that's the power of it. Like, if I had to give something to a religious person to hear, that is one of the few things I would give to them. To say, look, if you want to know what it's like to be an atheist or what I'm thinking, listen to Julia Sweeney's CD, because it's just fantastic. And I think Showtime or something made a DVD of it, so you can probably get that on Netflix too. But she's fantastic, and so Letting Go of God is the fifth one. If you have any recommendations for books that you think other people should read, please leave them in the comments below.